How you doing, everybody? It's Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner for Access.com, coming to you aboard the historic and 7th annual 70,000 tons of metal cruise. It doesn't look like it right now, but we are actually on the open sea, sailing to Labadee, Haiti, with 61 of the heaviest bands around, not the least of which is Overkill and lead singer Bobby Blitz Ellsworth. How you doing, my man?
That was some fucking introduction, let me tell you.
You guys deserve it.
I'm doing well, Jay. Good to see you.
It's good to see you again. It's like tradition. We talked on the second cruise in 2012. We were on the high seas at the top deck for that one. But it's always good to renew acquaintances with you.
Cayman Island, I think, right?
Yeah, that was Cayman Islands, and now we're going to Haiti. So how's it feel to be back?
Good. Let's all go to Haiti. I mean, this is what it's all about for me. Yeah, it feels good. It's always vacation-like. It's always nice to say metal can float. And more people on this one. I think we're pushing over 3,000 headbangers on this, plus bands. So we're probably looking at 3,500 people on the boat. So it's pretty cool. Crowded, but great accommodations, great parties, great music.
3,000 passengers from over 70 countries. It's sold out every year. 61 bands this year, like I mentioned. If I'm not mistaken, you guys were the last band added this time? At least one of the last ones announced. You were either the last ones announced or second to last one announced.
I know.
But how long has it been since you guys knew you were going to be on board?
I know Andy Pillar since the 90s.
The guy who runs
skipper.
The skipper.
And he booked us, TM'd for us, and he called me for a Happy New Year. I think it was January 2nd, and I said, cut the bullshit, let's get to the chase.
That's what I love about you, man.
You never call me for any anniversaries. What do you need? He goes, I got 2 cancellations. Can you? I said, I looked at my wife. She goes, is that Andy? I said, tell him I said hello and yes. So my wife is here too. This is her favorite Overkill jaunt. So yeah, I mean, it was just right after New Year we found out that we were going to be at it. So everybody was wholehearted and ready to sail the 7 seas.
And the funny thing is that one of the cancellations was Nile, who you guys are about to go on tour with.
Yeah.
Thursday, March 2nd, Alamo City Music Hall in San Antonio, Overkill and Nile. So this is kind of serving as a preview to that show as well.
Very good.
But differences for you between being on this one, besides the bigger boat and the more bands, compared to the last cruise you were on?
No, not really. I mean, I think there's a vibe. And I think as soon as you first of all, metal has a vibe by itself, the community itself. But as soon as you get on the gangplank and you get on the boat, I mean, you leave your worries behind. I was told, and you can get internet on your phone. I said, this is one of the reasons I come on this, is to not have internet. To get off of the grid,
to get away from
to
that,
feel like a human being again. So no, I don't notice any differences, and that's a good thing. I don't mean that as a criticism. I mean that as hey, great, it's the same good old floating tub of metal here.
Yeah. The last time Blitz and I talked on the cruise, like I said, was 5 years ago, right after Ironbound came out, just before the Electric Age. Now, as a special treat to everybody on board, the world premiere, it's actually in like a half an hour or so, in one of the staterooms here, our Labyrinth, The Grinding Wheel, Overkill's 18th studio album is coming out a week from today on February 10th, but for those here on the ship today, February 3rd, they're going to world premiere it. Now, thanks to the good folks at Nuclear Blast, I've had the pleasure of listening to it for a couple weeks. I've only listened to it 3 complete times. It's another thrasher piece from Overkill. I'm not just saying that because you guys are here. I love, especially right now, my favorite is the second song, Goddamn Trouble.
Goddamn Trouble.
Yes, that is a kick-ass. That's just like Overkill, definition of Overkill metal, what they've done for the last 32 years in that song. The title track, of course, wraps up the album. I think Let's All Go to Hades.
Let's All Go to Hades, yeah.
Hades, that's another great song. I never knew how to pronounce that.
Let's All Go to Haiti.
Haiti. That's what you should have named it.
That's what I said before. I wasn't sure if you had the record or not, yeah.
So, thoughts about this album? I mean, it's another killer Overkill album, like I said. How you feel about it as a band?
18. It's all about quantity, not quality, you know what I mean?
You guys have had the quality too. That's why you've been able to sustain so long.
You know something? I think that one of the things that we touched on this, and I can only put it in a few sentences, is that it's more diverse. That we found the tools that made Overkill, kind of reinvented them, gave them a fresh coat of paint, and that's the punk rock energy we had on the first records, and carried through our career. Groove. the new wave of British heavy metal, traditional heavy metal, thrash energy, epic feels like the title track, The Grinding Wheel. So I think that it's a multi-dimensional record. It's not just, for instance, a two-dimensional thrash record, but carries a little bit of something that from of all those different elements put together that make Overkill Overkill. And I think the key is getting the stamp or the brand on all those different influences, and I think we accomplished it. And with the help of Andy Sneap,
Yes.
who did the mixing for it. I mean, the guy's got a fantastic set of ears, great template, and makes bands sound like those bands. You hand it to Andy, or I think we handed it to him thinking we had something good, and I think Andy made it great.
Yeah.
So that's the excitement is where the satisfaction comes from, because the excitement is still there. It's not released yet. I still can feel my stomach churning that it's like, oh, I got a secret,
Like I said, February 10th it comes out. Thanks to Nuclear Blast for sending it to me. If I was that type of person, I'd stick out my tongue to everybody that I've already got it. Or if Blitz and I were that type, we don't care what you say, we've already got it. But since we're not that type of people, we will not do that. I'm normally not the type who tries to analyze things, but somehow this just came to me a few days ago. Is the grinding wheel yours and Dee Dee's way of because one thing I've always admired about you guys is you've been putting out albums every 2, 3, 4 years for the last 32 years, but you're not one of those bands that had a hiatus or anything like that. They've been doing it consistently since 1985. Is the title, The Grinding Wheel, yours and Dee Dee's way of saying, hey, everybody, we're still churning, we're still kicking? Or is that not what the album's about?
Well, for sure, it's a narrative. I mean, it's just in the vocabulary, and I think that even when it comes down to lyrics, I like to speak in our own vernacular. I mean, we're East Coast guys, Northeast. I mean, if you tore those lyrics apart, you could hear a lot of those phrases and conversations that we use to each other. And I remember sitting on watching a football game on the bus with a bunch of guys in the band crew. Symphony X guys were there, and the word grind kept going out, and I just put it in my phone, But I realized all I was doing was grabbing something that was obvious, So I think it's an obvious thing. It's not like a statement or any kind of a revelation. I think that if you do look at the 18 records, that this has been a grind. I'm not saying that that's negative. But I'm saying that it's been a slow, sure process for us. We've always kind of had the prize in sight, and that's always to try to make better music, try to grind through it to the next level. But I think there's a second narrative to it, and that all things that grind eventually wear out, whether it be a running back or whether it be a band. So grab the opportunity while it's here. It carries youthful exuberance. It carries. Validity in the present day. It's something that we're proud of, and also proud to be kind of part of this community. That grinds through.
Yeah.
So I think it's a narrative about the band in let's say a multifocal way.
Yeah, each band, like I said, plays 2 sets. Overkill goes on for the first time on this voyage in about 5 hours. 6:45 tonight in the theater, I believe.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure when.
6:45. I'm 100% positive about that. Are you guys going to be playing 2 different sets, or the same both times? Or are you going to mix it up a bit?
We'll mix it up a bit. I mean, one of the good things about metal, in my opinion, or one of the things that works, is being a machine. And being a machine takes repetition. So we'll have similarity in the 2 sets, but we'll mix up some stuff. We'll drop 3, 4, 5 different songs in. So.
And new ones as well, new debuts?
There'll be, we'll do 1 from it right now, yeah. So we're prepared to do 1, or at least half of that one.
Anybody in particular, music-wise, that you're really looking forward to? I'm sure you go back with a lot of these bands, or just casually, but performance-wise, is there one artist that you're just like, you want to stand backstage or to the side of the stage and you just want to gaze at their performance that you're looking forward to seeing the most?
Well, I saw Devil Driver for the first time last night.
Nice.
Like that. I'm a big Carcass fan. Really like Carcass. I've seen them a couple of times. It's always in festival type situations. I'd love to see them headline a show of their own one day. So that was something. I'm friends with the Gravedigger guys. I'm friends with a bunch of guys. The Death Angel guys. I caught some of their set last night. That was really cool. I'm going to see Grave. Which I think is a good Swedish band. So I can go through the list in the program and say, okay, or I can go see them,
Right.
But I like to see the new stuff, and I haven't seen Grave live, so I'd like to see them.
Awesome. Let's talk about that San Antonio show, March 2nd, Alamo City Music Hall. Just on tour, Overkill and Nile. It's going to be bombastic. You guys, fortunately for us, are frequent visitors to Texas every couple of years. Does this feel any different, or is it just another one in the long history of Overkill in San Antonio?
I got to tell you something. The next show is the most important show. So March 1st, the next show, March 2nd, will be the most important show in my lifetime. And that's the way I've looked at it my entire career. So no, it's not the same old thing, but it's a philosophy that seems to work. I mean, this is a band that's based on energy. It's it's kind of an audible methamphetamine, so, in a good way. I mean, and addictive, but in a good way.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're gonna let Blitz go. He's got a full day of these. He's got a show to get ready for. He's got a cruise to enjoy. Where else can you be but on 70,000 tons of metal, where you can get shirts like this, the Overkill shirts? Bingo. This is kick-ass with all their names on it and the date, and of course festival t-shirts, and places where you can see Blitz hanging out in the casino like I did the first day. Totally respected your privacy, walked on by.
You gave me a little nod and a wink, right?
Yes, I did.
That's a Jersey hello.
Yes, it is. Awesome. Thanks. Always great to talk to you.
All right, man.
Yes, sir. For Bobby Blitz, this is Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner for Access.com. Reminding you, don't hang them out to dry. Hold them up high.